Okay, class, let's start our day with a short prayer. Let's bow your heads and feel the presence of the Lord. Dear Lord, thank you for this new day. Please bless our teacher and classmates. Help us listen and learn and do our best. Guide our mindsets and hearts to be kind and respectful. Amen. Good morning, class. Okay, great. Thank you, class. It's nice to see your bright face today. How are you feeling, class? Great. Thank you. And today, I'm going to attend dance, okay? Okay, thank you. When I call your name, tell me one word that describe your morning, or saying presence and happy if you're feeling good today. Alaba, Alejandrino, Alcalos, Ancot, Andrade, Armisin, Aure, Bagayan, Batayola, Bueno, Caballero, Carpeso, Katian, Coronel, Corpus, De La Torre, Enriquez, Fantonial, Gaco, Galio, Garcia, Ginolaga, Loranyo, Igarde, Laude, Akambingil. Good. Before we begin, let's review our class rules. First, listen when someone is speaking. Number 2, raise your hands before talking. Number 3, be respectful and kind. Number 4, keep our area clean. Number 5, always do your best. Okay? Okay. Are we all ready to follow this today? Great, class. Thank you. Great. Since everyone is ready and the right mindset, let's start the lesson for today. Thank you.
Objectives. At the end of the lesson, students will be able to identify the meaning of symbols through interactive game and reflect on how symbols get their meanings through class sharing, and lastly, conduct a role-playing using symbols.
Okay, class, we will have our activity for today. I will divide you into 2 groups, and each group will only have 1 representative. Choose wisely, because the classmate that you will choose will come here in front and will act out the symbol or gestures without speaking. And the rest of the members will be the ones to answer. Yes, the answer is waving hands, which means saying hi or goodbye. Thank you for your participations. You may go back to your respective seats. Okay, class, what did you notice about our activity? Yes, we use symbols or gestures for interacting or communicating with other people. What do you think our topic for today's discussions? Yes? Good job. It's about symbolic interaction.
Alright, now that we've done the activity where we guessed and interpreted different gestures and symbols, let's take a moment to step back and reflect. So here, what just happened wasn't just a fun guessing game. It actually reveals a lot about how communication works and how we understand each other. Now, let's think deeper with these 2 questions. So the first question is, Can you think of a time when a symbol or gesture was misinterpreted? And what happened? And the second question is, how do symbols and meanings shape our understanding of ourselves and others? Okay, who wants to share a real life example of a gesture or symbol being misunderstood? And what do you think that situation tells us about communication and meaning? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So that's a great example, right? What you just shared shows exactly what George Herbert means or meant in his theory of symbolic interactionism. Okay, so let's just tackle it again. Let's break it down, okay, so that we will understand it more further. So here, meaning arises through interaction. We agree on what a symbol means by using it in social situations. That's correct. People act based on meaning. If I think a gesture means something positive, I'll react positively. So meanings can change through interpretation. When someone misinterprets a gesture, it shows meanings are not fixed. They depend on who's involved and the context. Through this reflection, we saw that symbols are powerful tools in communication. Their meanings are not fixed, they are created, shared, and sometimes misunderstood through interaction. This is exactly what Herbert's symbolic interactionism explains.
Who is George Herbert Mead? George Herbert Mead, born on February 27, 1863 in South Hadley, Massachusetts, USA, and he died on April 26, 1931 in Chicago, Illinois. He is also an American philosopher, sociologist, and psychologist, and he studied at Oberlin College and Harvard University. Mead was also a key figure in American philosopher and movement of pragmatism taught in the University of Chicago. Published after his death by students in the book Mind, Self, and Society.
Okay, class, we're gonna proceed now to the next, which is the symbolic interactionism. So, symbolic interactionism is a micro level sociological perspective that focuses on how meanings is created through face to face social interactions. So, it means that we people create and interpret meanings through social interactions. This is where we're gonna use a different just symbols such as language, gestures, and actions to communicate and understand each others. So the real life example of symbols, especially here in the Philippines, is pagmamano or saying mano po. In the Philippines, it is a sign of respect to the elders, such as our lolas, lolos, mama, papa, and etc. So the second example is bowing. So bowing is also another sign of giving respect. So especially we've seen this in the school. So in the school, when we see a teacher, we say good morning teacher, good afternoon, and we're gonna bow our head. So not just in school, but we've seen this everywhere. So another example is a wedding ring. A wedding ring is just a piece of metal, right? But in social interactions, it is in a day like of a marriage, it becomes a symbol of love and commitment.
We are going to talk about meaning in symbolic interactionism. Now, let's make it simple. This topic tells us that people act based on the meaning things have for them. For example, when we see a chair, what do you do? Yes, you sit on it. That's because for us, a chair means a place to sit. Mauna ang meaning nga atong nakatunan. We learn these meanings from other people. When we were younger, someone told us this is a chair, or we saw other people using it. So, through watching and listening, we understand what things are for. That's called learning through interaction. But remember, meanings can also change. For example, if you stand on a chair to reach something high, its meaning becomes different. Dili lang siya panglingkod, but now it's something that helps us reach something tall. So, class, symbolic interactionism teaches us that the meanings of things come from our experiences, how we interact with others, and these meanings can change as we learn new things in life.
Now let's talk about the development of the self. Now, this is Mead's most famous concept, and it is the development of self through social interactions. Now, these are divided into two. Now, we have the I. So, the I is an organized, impulsive, and spontaneous side of self. This is the subjective subject of action. Now, for example, someone bumped into you, and your first thought is to yell at that person. It is a pure and unfiltered reaction. Now, the me. The me is the socialized self that represents social attitudes and expectations. It acts as an internal critic or conscience that guides the I. Like, again, we're going to put it back to the situation where someone bumps into you, and instead of thinking about, I don't like you and I am gonna yell at you because you did this. Instead, you're just gonna say, "Excuse me, you bumped into me," and stuff like that. And because you remember that you're in a public place, so you're just being polite rather than just being impulsive. So you're just acting according to the social expectations. Now let's talk about Mead's key concept of the self. Of course, we have the self first. So the self is not something that we are born with, it is developed through interactions with the others. Now we have the I. This is spontaneous, creative, and unpredictable side of a person. Now the me. The me is the socialized side shaped by the expectation of the others. Now we have the generalized other. This is the organized attitudes, rules, and expectations of society that guide our behavior.
Let's proceed to core principles of symbolic interactionism. First is meaning arises through interaction. Symbols, words, gestures, or objects have no inherent meaning. So for example, ako kay nako natagbo nga tiguwang and I suddenly act like nibaw ko nila ni amen. So sa ilahang side kay it shows respect and kind. So sa ako kay it shows only my habit. Kung unsa ako naandan nga if na ako matagbo nga tiguwang, and then I will suddenly act like that without knowing nga anirespeto ko nila. Next is meanings are modified through interpretation. Individuals have behaved based on the meanings they attach to people, objects, or situations. So for example, ako kay if I were interact with someone na I don't know or stranger kay so basically mo act jud ta nag normal like ang posture nimo kay ana, then you speak calmly. Now if you put into situation na you interact with your friend, basically you will be hype or kanang mukiat ka, smile like inana. So there's difference between sa stranger and sa imong friends. So next is people act based on meanings. Meanings can change over time as people interact and reinterpret symbols. So for example, a gesture like or kanang simple gesture nga you are showing kindness to someone. Back then, they will masabtan nila nga you are showing kindness or you are showing yourself na you are kind to everybody. Now, if you put that situation karon specifically mo aktok tag inana sa usa ka babae, they will say nga you are flirting with them or kanang you are having a chance nga mo flirt nila, pero pero sa imong side kay you have no intention like that at all. You are just trying to show nga you are showing kindness, or you are proving nga you are kind to somebody, pero not to the point that you are flirting with someone.
Hello class, here's the continuation for the activity today. By now, students have learned the theory of symbolic interaction. So, in this next activity, they apply this theory by having a role play. So here's the instruction. Divide the class into 5 groups. The student will perform a role play demonstrating how individuals use symbol, language, and gesture to shape behavior. That's all.
Okay, class, since we are done with our discussion, we will be having our quiz for today, okay? So can you please get a 1-foot sheet of paper and then write your name, your section, and our schedule. So for our quiz for today, we'll be having a identification type of test, okay? So all you have to do is identify what is being described, each item, and then write your answers in all capital letters. So if you are not following instruction, then it will be marked as wrong, alright? So I will give you time, 5 minutes to study, and then we will begin our quiz.